Not every opportunity is meant to be kept. You don't have to say yes to everything. Not everything is for you for a period of time, or something wasn't for you from the beginning, but I don't look at that as a loss. I look at that as a lesson. How did I level up? Get comfortable doing the slow, steady, mundane, in the wee hours of the morning type of stuff. My capacity grew, my patience grew, and my mental fortitude grew. I wanted to reflect on 2025, not just the wins, but lessons that I learned. And some years you're going to have results, and some years is going to give you clarity. And 2025 for me was clarity. And I know this will be impactful going into 2026. So I want to give you 3 lessons that I've learned, and this will help you take 2026 to the next level. You don't have to say yes to everything. So I believe that's my biggest lesson, one of my biggest lessons in 2025 that I'm carrying over into 2026. Not every opportunity is meant to be kept, right? So I parted ways with a business that I helped found, that I was a part of, and I was an instrumental part of the business. But I don't look at that as a loss. I look at that as a lesson. Like, what skills did I gain? Like, how did I level up? Right. And I just want you to know that your alignment matters more than access, right? Not everything is for you for a period of time, or something wasn't for you from the beginning. And it looks like access, it could look like opportunity, but ultimately you'll learn that, it's not meant for you, or maybe it's seasonal. So you can leave on good terms because you learned some lessons, you grew from that. And you could honor what you gained, the skills, the experience, and the perspective. That still counts. Okay. So lesson number 2, capacity awareness changes everything. Let me say that again. Capacity awareness changes everything. So in 2025, I generated over $600,000 for others. $600,000 for others. That forced me to have a tough conversation that I was having with my mother. One day we were on the phone, and, I was excited. I was happy. I was like, man, I was reflecting, right? As it was coming. It was Q4 of last year, at the end of last year sometime, I believe around October. And I was just like, man, like, I generated, XYZ. And my mother said, essentially, like, why you don't do that for yourself? Like, because I was kind of on my high horse, and she brought me back to reality. She was like, why you don't do that for yourself? And I didn't get comfortable doing the slow, steady, mundane, in the wee hours of the morning type of stuff. Capacity awareness definitely grew last year. Like, me being it when nothing feels like it's working is actually working on you and for you. Because I know I'm good at speaking to people. I know I'm good at this. Like, why am I not like doing this on preparation plus discipline equals compound interest? Rated, 6 figures. But to go to that next level, right, which is results. Go through that process and see that I'm capable of doing those things. I have the skill. If you do those things and you're following through on the plan, you're going to get the results. $1 million producer, right? But success is built quietly, right? So again, nobody's around cheering you on. Like, you're doing the boring stuff every day. I remember, when I had that business, that I would do stuff daily for 3+ years of doing boring stuff daily. But what happened? The business grew, revenue grew because of the boring stuff in on that. But I want to stay on track. But I did it because it needed to be done. Grew, and my mental fortitude grew. I was able to see, what I was capable of. And that brings us to lesson 3. Growth lies in the mundane. So the boring stuff. I'm going to give you some context. A lot of you guys know that I was a trainer, a fitness trainer, strength and conditioning coach for years. Say you're trying to, it's a new year, new me, you're trying to lose, 30 pounds. And you say, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And, if you were meeting with me, let's just say, I'm like, okay, well, you need to sleep like this, get your 6 to 8 hours. You need to drink, make sure you're hydrated, make sure that you're eating richly dense whole foods as much as possible. You're cutting out the sugary desserts, alcohol, things of that nature. And this is your workout split. And if you do boring equals money, boring equals revenue, what you have access to, you should be able to reach your goal. right? And there's more things that, go into that assessment, but giving that game plan, like you have everything, you have all the tools and resources you need to go to reach your goal, go to losing that 30 pounds, right? You do. I've done it hundreds of times. So, but here's where people get caught up in, and this is why coaches are so essential for growth and for success, is because they help guide, they help keep you accountable, they help refine what you're doing, right? They help give you some encouragement at times, but the coach will give you the play. You just got to run it. And if you execute the mundane stuff, getting up early to get your workout in, going to bed early enough to where you can get the adequate amount of sleep, quality sleep, drinking your water, eating your protein, drinking your protein or your supplements or whatever that is recommended or prescribed to you, then you will achieve your goals. But it's the mundane stuff when the coach is not around, when nobody's around to cheer you on, can you do the mundane stuff? That's why community is important. That's why coaching is important, right? So you can't want to do the stuff when it's close to summertime or close the last week of staying on that same vein of you reaching your goal of losing 30 pounds in 30 days is achievable, but you got to stick to the script. But you want to turn it up. I got a week left or I got 2 weeks left and you're trying to do all those things. Well, no, like that wasn't prescribed to you. That plan wasn't designed to get you to your goals at the rate in which it was designed initially. So now if you try to go in there and try to rush things, stuff is going to break. Like you're going to have overload. You're going to not recover properly. You haven't built up the tolerance to get you to your goals successfully. You might have some results if you turn it up, but at what risk, right? So get comfortable doing the slow, steady, mundane in the wee hours of the morning type of stuff.
I want to take a pause for a second and talk about your confidence, right? You got the experience, the results, the credibility, but when it comes to putting your voice out there, fear creeps in. Who am I to do this? Does that sound familiar? That's imposter syndrome, and it's keeping you small. My coaching is about breaking through that, helping you turn your expertise into content, conversation, and coaching that builds real influence in your industry. So if you're done hiding behind titles and ready to lead with your story, head over to connectingwithcreatives.com/coaching and let's get started. I'll see you soon.
Right. So I'm just trying to give you some context, right? Because showing up when nothing feels like it's working is actually working on you and for you, right? Day by day, you stacking those days, it actually works for you, right? And preparation plus discipline equals compound interest. Let me say that again. Preparation plus discipline equals compound interest, which is results, right? Results come from that. And the follow through compound. So if you do those things and you're following through on the plan, you're going to get the results. And the last thing is that success is built quietly, right? So again, nobody's around cheering you on. Like you're doing the boring stuff every day. I remember, when I had that business, that I would do stuff daily for 3+ years of doing boring stuff daily. But what happened? The business grew, revenue grew because of the boring stuff that I did not like doing, but I did it because it needed to be done. And the company grew and it has and had success. I literally seen it's the boring that makes success. So I have tangible experience in doing that. And you do too. Like whatever, if you're coaching people, if you're on those calls, you're leading people and you have to repeat yourself about, the principles that your company or your business stands on because it's going to get results and you have to do it every day and you have to put out those fires every day. But the ultimate result that the people that you're leading are going to get, the attention is in the details and in the mundane. So you continue to push because that's where the results lie, is in the mundane. So, and you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with being boring because boring equals money. Boring equals revenue. I promise you it do. It's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's the little stuff that matters, right? So if you're just staying consistent, when things aren't going right and you're not consistent when they're not going right, then you're not going to get the results you want. So just putting up those reps, even when it's uncomfortable, you're going to get the results. You're going to lose the 30 pounds. You're going to hit your target. goal, revenue goal, right? So I want to help you guys out by reframing what failure is. I coined it controlled failure wins. That's what failure is. And it's not failure in the sense of you're wrong and you're not successful. That's a price of admission. You must fail to succeed. Just think about that context. In that same vein, I was talking about fitness. If you guys out there, you want to get those gains, summer's coming up, you want a bigger chest, bigger arms. Well, the only way that you get a bigger chest or bigger arms is that you have resistance, right? And you can't necessarily have, if you want to really get those gains, you must push weight and you must lift more weight over time because you're breaking down your muscles. You're fighting the resistance, right? Like that's how you grow is you break down your muscles. So they repair themselves and you feed your muscles and you rest and you hydrate, you sleep and recover. And eventually over time, once you do it, that compound effect over time is results that you want. And it's the same thing when it's starting your business. You reaching out to clients, you consulting clients, you doing the mundane stuff, you checking the calendar, you checking on the automations, the offers, you're checking in with your coaching clients, you're showing up on those meetings like ready, right? Ready to go, ready to deliver on what you said you were going to deliver on, right? That integrity is still there. That's when you get the wins over time, right? So reps create refinement. Refinement creates confidence. So a lot of times you're not going to be confident. Imposter syndrome, I know, was a big buzzword a couple years ago, still relevant, but that's all it is a lack of confidence. And the reason why you don't have confidence is because you haven't done it yet. But when you do it over time, like the mundane things we just spoke about, you're going to build your confidence up over time. Like I built my confidence up. Like I said, last year was a clarifying year for me. This year, like, let's go. You can't tell me nothing. I was able to do it for others and done it for others for years. Now I'm stepping into doing it for myself and I'm getting wins, like, and I'm getting them. And I'm like, because I'm staying in the fight, because I'm staying 10 toes down when it gets boring, when it's tough. I'm still waking up. I still have that discipline. I still have that preparation. That preparation plus discipline equals compound interest, right? That's my tagline for the year. And just know that confidence is going to grow, but after you grow, but you have to grow. You have to go through to get through to grow through, right? So that leads us here. Discipline plus grace, right? And discipline doesn't mean perfection, right? I want to pause right there because you think you showing up every day, you're going to feeling like optimistic about everything. No, it's going to get rough, but you have to show up as your authentic self and you have to have a why big enough, right? Big enough to understand like your why has to be big and only you can define your why. For me, it's my family. For me is building a legacy for my family after I'm gone, right? So they can bear the fruit of what I'm doing right now. That's my biggest why right now, right? And I can go on a different episode about that more, but my family is my why, right? So why I show up every day, why I do what I do is my family. So what's your why? Like, do you want freedom? Do you want flexibility? Do you want to be able to travel with your family? Do you want your family to have access to you, right? Do you want them to have access to you on your terms or on your job's terms, right? Do you want to be able to go to your kids' lacrosse games throughout the week and you don't have to ask for time off? Like, hey, ma'am, sir, can I go to the bathroom? Like, what is that? Can I go to the doctor? Is wild, right? If you have wellness. So you know what I'm saying? To me, that just doesn't make sense as a person. And I'm not knocking anybody that subscribes to that, like get it how you live. For you that wants that freedom, flexibility, that financial increase, that authority to be able to move how you want to move, that's freedom, right? I got a freedom roadmap for you, right? I want you to tap in the link in the description. But I know I went off on a tangent, but I just don't want you guys to misconstrue that you have to show up every day and it's going to be perfect. No, it's going to be hard. But the people that outlast the hardness, the difficult times, the early mornings, late evenings at times, you're going to win eventually. I promise you're going to win, right? You just got to commit to the process. So grace doesn't mean excuses. It doesn't. You can be committed and human at the same time. It's okay to understand like, man, this sucks, yo. I don't want to be here. Trust me, I have days like that. I still have days like that. But you still have to execute, right? Because consistency beats confidence all day, any day, right? So I want to share a little personal story with you guys. My daughter, as you guys know, she's been playing lacrosse for over a year now. Last year was her first full year of organized sports. And, she did good, right? Like the previous years, we did things when she was younger, dance, she tried that out. Basketball wasn't her jam, but she found lacrosse. She found it. That's the key. She found it. She had a conviction. Long story short, last year was a success. Defensive player of the year, okay, team captain, one of the team captains. Cool. That's good. So me being a coach and a dad, I was able to see things that she couldn't see. That's why it's important to have a coach and a guide. Because a lot of times with my experience in training athletes, being an athlete myself for years, more than half my life, I was able to see things that she couldn't see. And I wasn't being biased as a dad. I was looking objective at, her skill sets, her body and how she was built and her natural gifts. Last year was a success. And after last year's season, she says, she came to me again. No pressure. I'm not, I'm only creating the atmosphere for her, the environment for her. And what came of that was she says in a mature way, hey, dad, my goal is to make varsity. And on the inside, I'm screaming like, yeah, I'm turned up, but I'm even keel in front of her because in my mind, I know what sports can do for you in life. Work at team, collaboration, adversity, how to win, how to lose, yada, 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 mental, physical, fortitude, right? So I knew, what impact it was going to have on her in life and is having for her currently. So she said at the end of last year, mind you, like I said, no experience with organized sports or just competing and understanding like what's really at stake, right? And who does at that age, right? Like she's still like learning life. But she came to me with the goal and said, hey, dad, my goal is to make varsity. And she said, I'll do whatever it takes. You just tell me what I need to do. Man, that unlocks some stuff in me as a father, but also as a coach. When you have students and people that understand their why and they have a North Star or reasoning and they're willing to do whatever it takes, you're going to get results. With that being said, me being dad, and being a coach, I'm like, well, we got to commit early in the morning when nobody is there because what I'm doing is I'm setting that roadmap, that framework. Because again, I've done it and I've done it for others, right? And I said, hey, we got to show up at the field 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. We got to do these reps. You got to work on these skills. You got to recover like this. You got to train like this. You got to hydrate like this. You got to do all these things. As long as we're doing all those things, you're showing up consistent. I'm very confident, and I'm not being biased, right? But I know something. I'm confident that you're going to achieve your goals. I'm confident. What did she do as a kid, as a child that hasn't experienced that? She had to borrow my belief, and I gave that to her, right? Not as a father, but just like as her coach. I'm like, you have the tools to do it. You're capable. And so what really made that like real is because of the success she had before, because of, the work she was putting in then and seeing results. You said, oh, okay, like I never played a sport, but team captain, defensive player of the year, cool. Like I'm learning the game. So she's gaining some confidence because she did the work, right? She stuck with it. And so like to this day, like we're working weekends, like throughout the week on her breaks and stuff like that. She's doing she's doing different things to stay better, to stay sharpened, right? So the boring reps, like all of that stuff, like, she's there before like older kids her age on the field. Like I guarantee you, like, she has a good program, high school program, but I will honestly say that 90% of kids her age in this area, we didn't see them on the field. Maybe they were at different fields, but they weren't putting in the work that she's putting in. And it's no knock. Maybe they're doing it at different times, but I just knew that setting that discipline with her, getting the hard stuff out of the way earlier in the day is setting the tempo for the rest of the day. So I'm instilling that in her. Right. And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I want to give you guys some context of what's going on because that's a personal win for me. And like I said, clarity for me as a father, but also as a coach. When you give out the instructions, when you give the roadmap and your students, clients, family members, loved ones follow the blueprint that is going to bring success, man, that boosts some stuff in you, man. That unlocks some stuff in you. So she just didn't level up, y'all. She just didn't take the next step to go to JV because she was on freshman last year. She went from freshman to varsity, right? So now the goals are like, okay, let's contribute in a real way on varsity. Let's not just like ride that bench. And we're not doing that. So, and so now we have another plan, another level to go to because she's seen the results of her commitment, right? So it's more buy-in from her on me, right? Like, but I also had to let her know she put in the work. So you can skip a level, right? So you don't have to make the mistakes that I made in having a coaching business, consulting business, a speaking business, right? That's why I created the podcasting freedom roadmap for you to navigate these things, and I can show you what works and what has worked for me and others, right? So this applies, like I said, to business. It applies to your leadership in the corporate gig, in your leadership role. It applies to life. So results come from commitment to the process, right? So don't get caught up in the destination. You have to, like Tyson said, you got to fall in love with the journey. And sometimes you got to, as proximity to community, you got to borrow other people's belief so you can fall in love or just like or understand that this process is going to get you there. It's not about the destination. It's all about the journey. I know it's so cliche. So my call to action to you, if you want to level up in 2026, 1000%. So my clients that I have right now, one of the few things that they're saying is they're go-getters, they're directors, director level people in their corporate, in their expertise. They led people, they achieved, they got tangible results. They need structure. They need a roadmap. So if you have expertise and you want freedom, and if you want freedom, you need to tap in the link in the description, in the bio. That's why I built the podcasting, the freedom roadmap. Podcasting isn't just content. It's leverage, it's authority, and it's opportunity to take your expertise to the next level. So the link is below. If this episode really resonated with you, I want you to comment, what 2025 has taught you. And one thing, I only need one thing. And the next thing I need you to do is make sure that you tap into the link. Check out what I have there. I want you to go through the process. I have a few things that's going to be dope for you. A tracker to show you where you guys are at. That's very helpful. So the feedback that I've gotten from my clients now has helped me with my coaching program. And I got some stuff cooking up, but I definitely wanted to extend that to you guys because I know I'm on a mission to serving people. I have goals. I have momentum. Even when I don't have momentum, I'm putting in the work, and I want you to put in the work. I'm creating the environment, proximity. I'm creating that in 2026 for you to take your gift, your calling, your expertise to the next level. And I know 1000% that your platform, which is your podcasting, your personal brand, is going to help you get there, right? I 1000% I know it is. So whether you're trying to supplement your income, whether you're trying to do speaking engagements, consulting, your own coaching business, you being identified as a expert in whatever industry niche that you're in is the number one thing is going to separate you from the AI, the artificial intelligence, because AI is going to continue to grow, is going to continue to expand. And if you're a bot in a sense, and you're still showing up like everybody else, your copy looks the same, your website looks the same, it's the same language, the same hashtags, all of that stuff, you're going to get caught up in the matrix, and you want to separate yourself. You want to be known for your personal brand so people like, trust you, and want to build with you, because 2026 is community. It's very community. So it's going to be, the Zooms are cool, but people want proximity. People want to be able to have access. So that's what I'm building in 2026. And I want you to be a part of it. So I have coaching programs. I have different things that is coming available to you guys. All you have to do is always check the description. And if you want to tap in with me, if you want to hop on a discovery call to see if it's a good fit, even if it's not a good fit, if I can guide you on what to do, on what steps to take to get you where you need to go, I want to help you. Right. But I know 1000%, like, if you are my people, right? You will hear my voice. You will take action. You won't wait. I promise you, if I knew what I knew last year, I would have made certain changes before, but I didn't. I had to go through. So if I'm able to help you cut that timeline down to give you back your time, it's worth the investment. It's worth it. And I might not be for you. I'm not for everybody. That's cool, right? But if you're trying to level up in 2026, make sure you tap in with a link in the description. I'll see you guys on the next one.